Welcome to the new Young Rider Guide.
This session is a simple guide to help you complete your compulsory bike test, or CBT for short.
It's been designed to help you to navigate through some of the key areas when starting out on a bike,
so you can get out and ride safely.
So, what will you know by the end of this session?
You'll know what you need to do to become a qualified rider.
You will know the positives and importance of wearing personal protective equipment, and we'll look at what might be stopping you.
There's loads of equipment out there to choose from, so this guide will help you make the right choices.
We'll also look at keeping you and your vehicle safe and secure. At the end of the session, we'll also show you where to go for further training and support.
This guide is all about helping you to plan your next move in becoming a qualified, aware and safe rider. There are some time challenges coming up too, so make sure you get involved.
Okay, so before you can do anything on the road, there are a few things you need to get in place. These include obtaining a provisional license and attending compulsory basic training called a CBT. Before you attend your CBT, it will be worthwhile looking at the Ride Free program online. To obtain a full license, you will need to do everything we've identified so far, as well as taking a motorcycle theory and hazard perception test. Once you have that, you have a 2-part practical test to pass, and then you're all done. Let's look at all these in detail now.
To take any motor vehicle on the road, we all need a license. It's no different for a motorcycle. If you're just starting out, this will initially be a provisional license issued by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency. You might have heard it called the DVLA. You can apply online and pay the license fee, so it's quite an easy process.
To help prepare you for your CBT, there is a great free online training resource called Ride Free. Arriving at the CBT Centre with all this knowledge already can help you get the most out of your training and make the whole experience fun and less daunting. Ride Free will increase your knowledge and understanding of both riding skills and, importantly, behaviour, giving you the time to focus on your practical skills, linking both elements together. You'll look at the highway code and hazard perception, appropriate motorcycle clothing, PPE, as well as equipment and some advice around basic maintenance. It'll also provide you with advice on rider behaviours, reducing the risk of having a collision.
Compulsory basic training, or CBT, is not a scary thing. Yes, you might be a bit nervous, but with Ride Free and some decent protection, it can be a really fun event, and it will provide you with skills to ride safely. The CBT is a practical session where you'll learn how to control a motorcycle and interact with other road users. When you pass the training, you'll receive a CBT certificate to prove your competence. This is used with your provisional license to allow you to ride on the road alone. The CBT is valid for 2 years, enabling you to develop further and hopefully progress to achieving a full license. Look online at gov.uk website to find CBT trainers in your area and to check they meet the approved standards.
CBT gives you an understanding of rider theory as well as practical riding skills, and both are really helpful in the preparation of your full motorcycle test.
The course is split up into 5 elements, including on-site and on-road training and riding. The last part is where you demonstrate you have the skills and knowledge to go it alone.
The restrictions are age-based. At 16, you're limited to an AM moped. The largest sized engine permitted on the bike is 50cc with a maximum power of 4 kilowatts, with a maximum speed restricted to 45 kilometers an hour or 28 miles per hour. At 17, you can ride an A1 motorcycle. The capacity restriction increases to a maximum of 125cc with a maximum power of 11 kilowatts. As a provisional license holder, you can't ride on the motorway, carry passengers, and you must display L plates at the front and rear.
In this next section, we're going to look at personal protective equipment, or PPE. Many jobs, sports, or activities require that you wear PPE. If you play football, you'll wear shin pads. In cricket, you'll wear a helmet. This is all to prevent serious injuries, so let's look at what bikers should wear to keep them safer. Here's a quick challenge on PPE. Imagine you're off out on a ride on this. I want you to list the PPE needed and what the purpose of that bit of kit is. I'll start you off. An example for a piece of PPE might be gloves, and their purpose is to keep your hands warm, but they will also protect the joints from injury. A good place to start is with the head, and work down to the toes. Your instructor can list these as you call them out. Let's start the timer. Your list might be quite long. Helmets, jackets, gloves, trousers, boots, and each of the things listed has been designed for a specific job in mind. We'll look at this in a bit more detail in a minute.
When riders are looking for PPE, what things influence their decision? This is a 30-second quick challenge. What do you base buying your kit on? I'll start you off. For me, it's style. I want it to match my bike. There's lots of reasons why we buy things. Here's some of the common responses. Marketing can play a big part, but for most people, affordability and fashion sit high on our priority list. Our priorities are often about what looks good, and sometimes the desire to look good becomes our focus. Looking good is important to me, but I also want the kit to perform well if I'm involved in a crash. So just ask yourself, how well will this bit of kit protect me?
Finding kit that protects you, looks good, and is affordable is achievable. Your life is priceless, so make sure that you spend your budget on making the right choices in protection. So, what do you think you should wear? Call out your ideas. I think everyone is going to start with a helmet, and rightly so because there are laws regulating this kit. But does that mean you should not wear the rest of your PPE? I suppose it's a bit like playing a sport or doing an activity or job where you have a specific kit that goes with it. Motorcycling should not be any different. Why not wear the right kit to ride a motorcycle? It doesn't have to be full-on race leathers, and there are loads of options available that provide a high level of protection without making you look uncool, and will be just as fashionable and comfortable off the bike as well as on it.
Understanding the kit and what it does for you might help you to make informed decisions when you're getting your PPE. Let's start with the obvious, the helmet. Crash helmets come in many different styles and patterns. Basically, they are all designed to do the same job: protect your head in the event of a crash. So, with lots of choice available, how do you know whether one is better or worse than the other? A good starting point is the Shark website. This site allows you to see at a glance how well your chosen helmet performed during testing, and also allows you to compare it against similar models that might have performed as well or better, but are more affordable. High cost doesn't always mean better value. All helmets must be tested. I'd also advise against buying a second-hand helmet. You have no idea what the previous user may have done to it, and crash damage is not always visible.
Don't forget that helmet fit is important. Not everyone has the same head shape, so a helmet that fits one person may feel very uncomfortable on your head. Sizes vary too. Italian sizes tend to be a lot smaller than British, so buying online without trying the helmet isn't always a good idea. Expert advice is also available to make buying your kit really easy. Also, think about what you're going to ride. For example, an open-faced helmet may not give you the best weather protection you expect on a bike with no screen or fairing. An enduro helmet may restrict your view on a sports style bike with a low riding position. The crash helmet is a vital item of PPE. It needs to offer maximum protection in the event of a crash, be a good fit, be comfortable enough to wear for long periods of time, look good, and be affordable. So don't rush the choice. Take your time and listen to the advice of the experts. Oh, and don't forget, if the helmet isn't fastened, it's not being worn.
Motorcycle clothing is available in lots of different styles and materials. You might associate riding trousers as just being leathers, but manufacturers have designed everyday clothing to meet riding needs. The main difference is that they're stronger and equipped with flexible armor to provide maximum protection, while still looking and feeling like casual gear. Did you know you can get protective jeans that will stand up to rough treatment with built-in Kevlar? These should not be confused with fashion jeans with the knees cut out. Wearing those would be as protective as riding in your underwear.
There is a lot of science behind new PPE materials. It covers how they are tested and how long they will take to wear through. Leathers, for example, are tested to withstand at least 5 seconds slide at 70 miles per hour. This is equivalent to sliding over 70 meters. This may give you some confidence in your gear, but it's not an excuse to ride faster. A lot can happen in those 70 meters. Let's hope you never have to test it for real.
It is really important to understand the protection the materials of a rider's clothing provides. Grind rate is a term used to describe how long it takes for a fabric to wear through compared with other fabrics. It's measured in per inch per second. The larger the grind rate value, the better the protection. Uncovered skin is going to offer poor protection, and unfortunately if you're down to the bone, then it's too late. There's clearly little value in wearing fashion denim, for example, cut jeans. You might as well be riding in no clothes at all, particularly if you're planning on going above 10 miles an hour. Textile and leather are better, but the higher the speed, the less protection they offer. Kevlar offers the best protection against injuries arising from slides at any speed. Most of the kit we have shown you uses Kevlar reinforced panels or lining in the areas where wear is most likely to happen in the event of a slide.
Gloves and boots are also essential. Gloves are not just to keep your hands warm. In the event of a crash, one of the first parts of your body to hit the ground will probably be your hands. Unprotected parts of your body won't last long at even 10 miles per hour when rubbed along a rough road surface. If you damage your hands, you will need a lot of help with some of your everyday activities for several weeks. Boots also need to offer protection against wear and being crushed. Avoid work boots and steel toe caps, as these can sometimes cause crush injuries to your toes. Look for good quality motorcycle boots with ankle support and steel reinforcement on the footbed. There are a few things to consider when buying gloves and boots. Not just the protection they provide in a crash, but also against the weather.
Kit which keeps you warm and waterproof is important. Having frozen fingers on a bike is not nice. It makes controlling the bike extremely difficult when you can't feel the levers or controls, and all you can think about is how cold you are and not what you should be concentrating on. Ask your local motorcycle kit supplier to explain the differences and help you with your choice. Start by setting yourself a budget and decide what you want from the kit. Warmth, waterproof, or summer wear are all the things you might want to think about. Most good kit providers will be happy to help you choose PPE. Most are keen bikers themselves and know what will work best for you. They will help you just for the slide, not the ride.
So, you now have your provisional license. You've completed your CBT and have all the right safety equipment. It's now time to start building up your experience to get you ready for the road. Being road ready starts with rider awareness.
Did you know that motorcycle deaths can occur from impacts as slow as 9 miles per hour? It's not just the higher speed crashes of 40 miles per hour and above that are likely to be fatal. And it's not only death. While you may survive a 30 mile per hour crash, you'll probably still have suffered major injuries. So being aware of what causes collisions will help you to minimise your risk.
Let's look at how you can recognise risk and be able to manage it. What makes something risky? If we think something looks safe, we tend to take more risks. If something looks unsafe, we're often more careful. So the more we get used to doing something, the more risky it can become. For example, look at this road. A rider might look at this road and think it looks unsafe because of the blind bends and lampposts, and therefore take more care because it looks risky to ride fast. This road, however, looks really safe because there are not so many visible hazards. As a result, riders might be tempted to take more risks. Remember to always assess risk. Don't become overconfident and form bad riding habits.
Hazard perception is a critical part of the learning journey. But what are the hazards to you as a rider? Take a couple of minutes to call out your answers. You need to be aware of what makes something a hazard. and how best to avoid them. There are three main types: physical features such as junctions, roundabouts, or bends and hill crests. Then there are hazards created by the movement of other road users, and hazards created by changes in road surfaces or weather conditions.
First, let's look at other road users. For a rider, this hazard would be colliding with other traffic. Colliding with any traffic involves a high risk of serious injury, but basically, the bigger the vehicle, the higher the risk of injury. You are more at risk of being involved in a crash in an urban or town area because there are far more vehicle movements and lots more things to hit. However, you are more at risk of being involved in a fatal crash in a rural area because impact speeds tend to be a lot higher. Head-on collisions are more likely to result in fatal injuries even at low speeds because, in simple terms, your impact speed is added to the impact speed of the vehicle you hit. So you need to keep clear of oncoming traffic. Falling off and sliding down on the road isn't great either. You're in great danger of being run over. It might not be your fault. Other vehicles pulling out in front of riders causing collisions is so common it's been given its own name, SMIDSy. Sorry mate, I didn't see you. Fine for them, but if it happens to you, you're likely to be the one that suffers most. Remember, as a biker you are in the minority. Bikers only account for 1% of traffic, so don't be surprised if drivers are not looking out for you. They're not expecting to see bikers that often. As for physical features, you are most vulnerable at road junctions, such as T-junctions, crossroads, roundabouts, and entrances. In fact, anywhere vehicles paths cross. Also, you need to be aware of other road users U-turning in front of you. Corners and bends can also be a hazard if you enter them too fast or encounter a threat mid-corner, where even experienced riders can panic and crash. But also think about all the things alongside the road, such as trees, walls, buildings, barriers, lampposts. Colliding with them is going to end badly, even at a low speed. The open road is not like a racetrack where everything has safety padding around it. If you hit a tree or a curb edge, even at a low speed, it's going to hurt. Or even worse.
Even the weather conditions can be a hazard. Loss of control due to inexperience, or a poor road surface due to defects. A lack of grip caused by gravel, wet drain covers, mud, snow, ice, diesel spills can be anywhere. Obviously, snow, ice and rain are going to be a problem to a biker. Apart from being horrible to ride in, they will also seriously affect your ability to stop without skidding. Even the sun can be a problem, especially when it's low in the sky and can blind you. So why do crashes occur? The answer is very simple. Crashes only occur because you run out of time and space. Time to react and space to stop. Nobody crashes in space. You only crash because you ran out of space and couldn't stop in time. Couple that with a lack of awareness and attention by one or both parties and you have the recipe for a crash.
To avoid these hazards, first you need to recognise a hazard as a hazard to you and take the necessary action in good time to avoid it. But how do you recognise a hazard unless you have encountered it before? We call this experience. Unfortunately, it's not something you can learn overnight, but you can make it easier for yourself if you follow these simple guidelines. If you're moving to the side, check around and behind you first. Do this when you are slowing down and preparing to brake too. When you're approaching corners, brake in good time before the bend and with the bike upright and stable. Corner at a steady speed on a low throttle. In good dry conditions, use both brakes together when braking, but apply slightly more force to the front brake than the rear. In wet or slippery conditions, apply equal pressure to both brakes and give yourselves more braking space to avoid skidding. Using the front brake on its own will probably lock the front wheel. Similarly, using the rear brake on its own will cause the bike to start to slide sideways. Either way, you'll probably end up coming off the bike. It's good advice to steer clear of all hazards. For example, keep a minimum of 1.5 meters clear of parked cars and cyclists. Remember, space and time at all times. Space to stop and time to react.
You need to always concentrate, using the OSM PSL system, which should be completed continuously in the correct order. As a reminder, OSM stands for O, observation. You need to both look ahead and regularly check following traffic using your mirrors or by looking over your shoulder when it's safe to do so. S, signal. If necessary, Signal your intention to change course or turn. Signal clearly and in good time. M. Maneuver. Change speed and or direction, only if it's safe to do so, or to avoid a collision. PSL covers manoeuvres and has 3 parts. P. Position. You need to get into the correct position in good time. This lets other road users see what you intend to do. S. Speed. You need to slow down as you approach a potential threat or hazard. L. Look. You need to keep looking for possible dangers. Check the traffic situation behind as well as in front.
And don't forget the lifesaver. This is a quick glance over your left or right shoulder to check for vehicles in your blind spots, not covered by your mirrors. You need to do this before moving or turning to the left or right. If you look at this image, the areas in grey are your blind spots and not covered by your mirrors. These are the areas you need to check before changing direction or speed so you are fully aware of all the hazards.
Because drivers are not expecting to see you, make it easier for them by making yourself more visible. Consider having a bright helmet and clothing, which is better if it's reflective, particularly at night, or in poor visibility. Other road users have trouble seeing you at the best of times, so bright clothing will give you a better chance of being seen.
Positioning your bike to the middle or to the right of your lane, if room allows, makes you more able to see and be seen. If you are riding well below the speed limit, such as up a steep hill, consider moving to the left to let traffic pass, but only if it's safe to do so. Don't give up your space unless it's safe.
The horn on your bike is a warning instrument. If you don't think you've been seen, use it to warn others that you're there and to attract their attention.
You must be able to stop in the distance you can see to be clear. In an emergency, don't forget to first shut the throttle. Use both brakes and squeeze. Don't snatch. The front brake or the wheel might lock up and you might fall. The stopping distance chart shown here is from the highway code. It's only relevant if everyone is paying full attention and concentrating. The distances shown are reliant on you being able to react in less than 1 second. In a real life situation, your reaction time is going to be a lot longer, maybe even 2 seconds. So don't forget, give yourself more space and time. The chart shows 2 distances, thinking distance and braking distance. Thinking distance is how far you'll travel as you're reacting or thinking about what to do. It's assumed your reaction time will be under 1 second, actually 0.7 seconds, which requires your full attention and quick reactions. Braking distance is the distance you will travel as you're braking in an emergency. On this chart, the braking distance is based on a car with good brakes, in dry conditions, and on a good road. But you're not driving a car, and the conditions may not always be great, so you need more space behind the vehicles you're following and maintain a bigger gap. Don't forget, you are on a bike. You can't stop as quickly as a car without skidding, so your actual braking distance will be longer. You may have heard the saying, only a fool breaks the 2-second rule, but for safety's sake, make that 4 seconds to give yourself the extra space you need.
Let's look at some case studies. The following 4 scenarios are all examples of crashes that have happened resulting in fatal injuries for the motorcyclist. In this image, you can see a biker is overtaking slow-moving or stationary traffic. This is known to be hazardous because the van and other traffic prevents the rider seeing the emerging car on the left. And the driver in the junction may think they have space to pull out, but the rider is hidden from their view. In this case, the rider doesn't realise the car is turning right because the larger vehicle is blocking the view of the car's flashing indicators. The car driver simply turned right without checking behind because he wasn't expecting to be overtaken at a junction and a collision occurred. A similar thing happened in this crash. The truck hides both the rider and the driver from seeing each other. The car has then pulled out across the path of the rider. In this instance, the rider is overtaking just before a junction. The car driver signals late and turns without looking. The simple advice is never overtake on approach to junctions. Collisions can occur anywhere where vehicles' paths cross. You will only avoid these situations if you maintain space and time.
You have now gained some valuable experience. The next step on the ladder would be to obtain a full motorcycle license, if that's what you want to do.
First stage is going to be completing your theory test. The theory test has two parts. You need to pass both to pass the test. In the multiple choice part, you'll be asked 50 questions. You'll need to get 43 right to pass. All the questions are based on the highway code. You'll be shown a question and a choice of answers. Click on the one you think is right. You will also watch one video and then answer 3 questions about it. You can practice online before you go for your theory test to get used to how it works. When you're done, you'll move on to hazard perception. This tests how well you can spot developing hazards. These are things that would cause you to take action, so like changing speed or direction. There are 14 clips in this test. 13 of these have one developing hazard, but one will have 2. You can get up to 5 points for each developing hazard, so click as soon as you see one. A red flag will appear so you know your click has been counted. You won't lose points for clicking on hazards that don't develop. Just don't click on everything or click in a pattern. If you do, you won't score anything for that clip. You'll need to get 44 or more out of 75 to pass this test. When you pass, you've got 2 years to pass your driving test, otherwise you'll need to pass your theory test all over again.
Having passed your theory tests, you can move on to Module 1. Module 1 will last about 20 minutes. It'll take place off-road and you'll start by doing slow maneuvers such as manual handling. Park in one of the bays and put the bike on its stand. Take it off again, wheel it backwards to the other bay, then put it back on the stand. Slalom and a figure of 8. Steer between the cones, then ride in a figure of 8 for 2 full circuits. Slow ride. Rise slowly in a straight line and pull up inside the area marked by the cones. U-turn. Do a U-turn between the lines and pull up on the opposite side. Cornering and emergency stop. When you exit the bend, you'll be giving a signal to do an emergency stop. Cornering and hazard avoidance. Exit the bend and steer between the 2 cones, coming to a controlled stop. At the end of your test, your examiner will give you your result and feedback. Having successfully completed Module 1, the next stage is Module 2.
Module 2 will last about 40 minutes. Before going out on the road, you will do an eyesight check and be asked some safety questions. You will ride in various road and traffic conditions and be in radio contact with your examiner the whole time. During your ride, you will do normal stops, an angle start and a hill start where possible. You will ride independently for about 10 minutes so the examiner can assess your ability to ride safely while making your own decisions. When you have finished the test, your examiner will tell you if you've passed and give you feedback. You will only fail if you make 11 or more rider faults or any serious or dangerous faults.
So, you've passed your CBT, got a motorcycle, and now we need to talk safety and security.
Different lock types suit different occasions when you leave your motorcycle.
Just stopping to meet a mate? A wheel or disc lock works well.
Leaving your bike all day or overnight? A chain and a ground anchor so the bikes cannot be lifted is probably the better option. Check with a good retailer and ask for advice.
If parking on the street, go for a well-lit, busy area covered by CCTV.
Multi-storey car parks might have secure motorcycle parking areas. You can check online if your local car park has this facility. At home, a lock-up garage is best, but if not, move it out of view from the street and lock it up securely.
You might save money on your insurance if you have a properly fitted alarm system. They can come with tracking, immobilisation, anti-grab and movement sensors. Definitely worth the money and the peace of mind.
Cover it up. Certain brands and types of motorbike are more attractive to thieves than others, so cover up your bike and they won't be able to tell what it is. Also, using a cover could be another deterrent to thieves as it will take them more time to remove it.
Like everything in life, things break, and usually just when you don't need it. Checking your bike for essentials before setting off will probably save you a long walk home. There are some good videos on YouTube which show you how to change the oil, check the tread on your tyres, and replace light bulbs. These are quick but important things you can do to keep moving.
This is our mascot Bolt. Bolt checks his brakes, oil, lights, and tires before he sets off. It's a good way to help you to remember to do the same. Also, check that you have enough fuel. Pushing your bike home is hard work. Your bike will also need an MOT if it's over 3 years old. This makes sure it's checked by a qualified mechanic and is safe to be used on the road.
You must have insurance to ride a motorcycle on a road or in a public space. It's the law. Basically, insurance is a contract represented by a policy, in which a policyholder, that's you, receives financial protection or reimbursement against losses. That could be theft or damage to your bike, injuries to you or others from an insurance company. There are plenty of insurance companies to choose from, and comparison sites will help you with your research. Before you apply for insurance, consider: you will pay more for insurance if your motorcycle is modified. If you improve your riding skills with extra training, your insurance costs could be lower. Where you keep your bike and how you secure it will make a difference to the price too. Always shop around for insurance. See what different companies have to offer. Build up your no claims discount. The longer you ride and do not make a claim, the cheaper the premium should be next year.
Every year, there will be a young rider who dies because they were not fit to ride, and many more will either be seriously injured or hurt someone else.
The law about impaired riding is the same as if you were driving a car. Being under the influence of alcohol or drugs is illegal, and you can be tested, arrested, charged, and will go to court where you'll be banned from riding and could be sent to prison.
Drugs stay in a person's system for more than 24 hours, so if you have smoked a joint the evening before, you will not be fit to ride the day after.
Alcohol may not be illegal, but riding impaired because of drinking too much is, and the penalties are the same as drugs.
So, to sum up, riding under the influence of drink or drugs will massively affect your skill as a rider and will lead to you making mistakes. You may take risks that you wouldn't ordinarily take. Your judgment is weakened, loss of control is more likely, and your observation skills are not going to be as good. Ultimately, the reality is that this could cost you your life in a crash.
There are various organisations, charities and training providers available to support you. Just a few are listed here.
New Rider Hub is a platform designed to help you get out on the open road, with links to further training and relevant organisations to support young riders. The website also includes advice to help you prepare for your CBT, buying a bike which meets your needs, insuring your bike, securing and maintaining your bike, as well as rider safety and equipment.
Mental Health Motorbike is a free, face-to-face and online mental health first aid support charity for the biker community throughout the UK. The charity exists to create meaningful and purposeful opportunities for all bikers to grow the well-being of the biker community. This is achieved through one-to-one and peer support, events, training, activities and projects, working in partnerships with other organisations and clubs.
Biker Down is a free course, offering you the chance to learn practical skills to help avoid being involved in a crash. It also provides essential first aid training and advice on what to do should you find yourself first on the scene of a crash where someone is injured.
And the Sharp Helmet site is here again too.
Now that we are at the end of the session, it's time to check what we've learned. This is a quick quiz and the answers appear at the end of the film.
If you want to keep up to date with media campaigns, changes in the law, or become involved in focus groups for young riders, the Young Rider Forum is the perfect place to share ideas and get the information you need.
Now for the quiz answer reveal.
Thank you for participating and safe riding.